Hello, friends. This is Chaplain Charles Rippey again at VCU Massey Cancer Center. We're starting our third rendition of Survivorship series, where we're talking about resiliency over the fear of recurrence, of cancer recurrence. Today's topic is going to be a little briefer than the previous topics, but it's something that's highlighted by most every individual that I have gotten to meet. And I want to start this story by sort of bringing a focal point of what a lot of people might have seen or read about or even personally experienced whenever they have actually taken part in treatment, whether it would be radiation oncology or chemotherapy, um, receiving transfusions of any kind, etc. Lots of different pathways toward treatment when one is diagnosed with cancer, but the journey where survivorship can bring on this idea of unknown territory tends to happen with the ringing of a bell. If you can recall, either at this center or somewhere else in the country, many different people, whenever they are invited to celebrate the final treatment that one might receive in a particular area of their treatment, oftentimes you'll see units have a certificate of graduation and completion with notes of encouragement and joy and love from various people that you have met along the way. But another practice, which is interpreted quite differently with individuals within our system here, is the ringing of a bell, the ringing back and forth of a bell to celebrate the completion of a particular treatment. One of the things that we need to also keep in mind is that this organization, whenever we do that practice, is not always received in the same way. What can happen in different ways is that some people, whenever they hear completion, they also hear in their head the idea that I'm cured. And that's a normal thing to sort of hear and to put within your heart. Another experience might be whenever they hear that, they see this idea of, well, now my new norm is going to be different, and I'm going to be starting another journey sort of on my own. It can be the bell, which can signify a lot of different things, such as the start of a new journey, the completion of one journey, but also the idea that all things are new and different. And one of the things that I wish to talk about now is sort of the fear of recurrence. There's a lot of different resources that we have to talk about what that actually is, but I wanted to start by just simply saying that when we talk about fear of cancer recurrence, this is not something that is unique to an individual. It's actually quite normal. It is dealing with the reality that you have taken part in a journey that a lot of people may know in their own way, or family may know from an outsider's standpoint, but it is still unique to yourself, having felt a certain way, having had to go through certain processes, and the wondering with each treatment, am I going to have to do this again? This is, well, my background won't allow me to share it, but Living Beyond Breast Cancer, it has a lbbc.org has a fear of recurrence resource that I think is very good within our integrative health office here. If you're looking for something, we have resources to help sort of talk through what that might be. But I essentially wanted to talk about four key aspects when we think of recurrence. You are being invited to basically live with uncertainty. After treatment, many individuals say, I'm in remission, but there's the idea that that remission may only last a week, or it could be years, or even though you've completed a process, chemo maintenance throughout one's life, or the fear of everything has finally stopped. But I wonder, when I go back to the doctor, is there going to be a change that occurs that's going to make me have to go through this all over again? And there are triggers that we have all over each follow-up visit, or whenever you had symptoms such as stomach cramps, an inability to eat like one might have with the flu. Somebody is experiencing a cold or aches and pains within certain muscles and joints where cancer may have occurred in the past. It could be normal illnesses that occur throughout our populace at various times, but we are hypersensitive to the fact that I know what it felt like in the past. This seems like something that I remember. Am I getting cancer again? All of these things are uncertainties, but we listen to our body and we look to our past as something that can cause distress emotionally, physically, and spiritually. One of the things that is important, and various studies that we have seen regarding resiliency, especially with fear of recurrence, deals with understanding our coping mechanisms, our support systems, and how we have normally taken a look at moving forward in the midst of adversity. Sometimes psychologists will call it like maladjusted coping mechanisms. I don't really care for that term, but you can see how different things that we do normally to be able to cope. Um, One of the things that I often see versed by many of the patients here is this beginning of I have to remain positive no matter what, versus um, I am hopeful, but I have really difficult emotions which I can bring up and recognize and name. One that is not making space to allow the emotional uh, flow of ups and downs to take place naturally. If it's happening in your body, it sort of can be a defeating purpose. That if all I am is go go go, and all I am is positive thinking to the point that you're ignoring your body when things, especially in the survivorship mode, begin to change. If there is a difficulty in your life, we tend to not know, again, how we can reach out for help or how we can even process something after we've been, uh, after individuals have been on hyper alert for such a long period of time. So, one of the things is to not ignore your fears and not to ignore your feelings of anxiousness. It's a very good thing to be able to talk about what you're facing. The other area is, which I have a lot of professionals sort of offer this. When individuals ever think, and if you've ever thought in your head, I wonder if I need to talk to somebody about what's going on, answer is typically, if you're already thinking about it, then it's already a need that you have addressed, and you need to give yourself permission to start seeking those support systems by which you can start to process feelings of uh, you have family that might say you've beat cancer, but in the back of your head, you're thinking, I'm still in this journey. I don't know. If people that you are normally with aren't talking the same language, it's very important to reach out to a psychiatrist or a psychologist, to a chaplain, to those that might be help facilitating a support group, individuals that are going through a similar journey, especially in survivorship, or to talk to individuals and feeling that you can actually name your own emotions of, even, yes, even though this journey looks different, I'm still holding on to these things because it's sort of a part of me, like a little scar on your knuckle that you got from Pee Wee hockey years ago, right? Cut through the glove. It was fine. But those things we carry with us, even though there's healing there, there's many things, scars that remain. And I call them tapes in the back of your head. The things can be playing in the background and start to take precedence over time if we do not feel the opportunity to reach out to those we trust, or even those who are part of our support systems that we don't think get it, knowing that you have the freedom to say, these things are what I'm feeling now, and I need help moving forward with trying to figure out that you're on the same page, that I'm still carrying things even though the journey looks different. And the other aspect is making healthy choices. It's a lot of the same things reiterated over and over again, but the contexts by which we make those choices differ. It's very important whenever you think of your care following the treatment that you might receive or the change in treatment that you're receiving along your journey, and the different aspects that may be happening. You know your body better than anybody else, and you know what symptoms you felt during treatment. You know what symptoms you felt prior to treatment, and also trying to manage how you're feeling post-treatment. Talking with your physician about what lifestyle choices or what things, whether it be types of exercise, types of eating, types of outings that help you in body and mind and spirit, would actually help take care of you based on what your lifestyle has been and based on what you were facing. There are different types of plans that can help sort of mitigate um, um, putting excess stress in your body as it continues to heal, or keeping it in a mode that it's able to fight back to the best of its ability, to the best of your ability. And some of that also involves taking time to reduce stress. I can't tell you how many times, even though this is just a small little story, if you're a type A person, you have to have everything sort of planned, and you go, 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 and you want things to be in order. And as a student, I remember years ago, um, basically putting everything without stopping until I saw something get done the way it needed to get done. And then when I was able to gleefully go back to the home that I grew up in with my family, whether it was an undergrad or graduate school, I remember saying to myself, "Oh, I can finally relax. I can finally be with my family." But you know what? All of that stress that I built up, my body said to me, "Nope, you're gonna now you're gonna sleep for a long time because your immune system is shot. You really need to just slow it down." And I would have these little colds that I had to get through. So it's important to be able to know that if you are starting to feel anxious, whether you're approaching an upcoming doctor's visit, to be aware of how you feel, whether you are starting to feel a certain way and it reminds you of something in the past, to be able to speak about it, to not hold on to that stress, and to be proactive in looking, whether it's with your provider or with your support systems, on what that may be and how you can be resilient around it. Continuing to be well informed, and then also following a plan. It is also very important that as treatments continue, part of your care for yourself and to be able to have some semblance of control in a world where there's not much in our control, the ability to stay uh, firm within the knowledge base of what's happening in the world around you. If you are looking at cancer treatments, there are studies being done all over the place where you can see how things are developing or new treatments developing, how you can be proactive, talking with your provider should something reoccur. If there is recurrence of cancer, you also know that you're adding tools to your emotional, your physical, and your mental and spiritual toolkit to be able to say, I've got this, I'm not alone, I'm not uninformed, I'm able to be able to move with greater resiliency. Um, there's a resource that I have found interesting, and I don't think I can share it right now, but it's talking about different things that we bring up. And if this is something that you have felt, I want you to be able to take a pause and just holding it as you would picking up a stone when you're walking near a riverbank or a creek bed, and see it as real. Hold on to it and give it, the feeling itself, the 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 reality and the tangibility that it needs before we let that go. When we talk of fear of recurrence, these are topics that are typically something that people have mentioned feeling a lot of the time. And you're not alone in this. Feeling alone, facing the journey alone, believing that cancer would return, experiencing uncertainty, having cancer related thoughts or imagery that others may not see through the lens of which they're looking through in life. Whenever you eat at a meal, you may have something in the back of your head that reminds you of a time when you couldn't taste something the way that you used to. Daily and recurrent thoughts, that certain ideas or certain memories continue to spin in your head and there's no outlet for them. Thoughts that lasted 30 minutes or longer. Again, if you're my personality type, if you dwell on something, it shades the day and it's almost impossible to get out of the back of your head. experiencing greater increased distress over time. So one of the issues that I mentioned is being able to name your emotions as they are. But there are also some individuals that have mentioned, and you have to sort of be present to yourself to know where you are in a moment, that if being hopeful and positive is a good thing. And I also would say that allowing yourself to be negative and fearful sometimes, that's a good thing too, because you're being true to yourself. But it's easy that if we allow those things to be the only things that we feel, that it has this cascading or building up effect on our bodies and our minds, that it's the only way to see life. And then we get sort of further and further down the rabbit hole. Experiencing an impact on one's daily life. And this is where I think I use the word isolation or immobilization. When we allow the emotions and fear of something in the past that is not known in the present, but seems so very real, it can affect all of our relationships, which is why it's important to know that there are things that we control and things that we can't. And I wish to share real quick, if I can find the Reinhold Niebuhr wrote this wonderful prayer, and then I can also share how this has been shared in many different backgrounds. But Reinhold Niebuhr wrote the Serenity Prayer, and I wish to offer this to you, whether you identify as a Christian or not. I'm going to offer some different outlooks of that as well. But it's commonly quoted as this. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. I want to say that one more time. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. There's also poetic wisdom that you can find in Chinese philosophical and also to some religious resource called the Tao Te Ching. We're also in Buddhist circles an understanding of being able to take a look at what life is as it is in and of itself, what is real, and finding balance or harmony within the reality. And a Buddhist might say that I know that life is always changing and that my life is finite. I know that there are things that cause pain and suffering. By acknowledging that as a reality, I don't allow that to take hold of my ability to be who I am and to live into my idea or the plan that I have to find peace within things that I can't change. What I can look at is how am I feeling, what is real, what is within my mind, and how can I move forward despite the obstacles in my way, or how in moving forward can I tear them down. There are lots of different resources that we have, but I encourage you that to have resiliency within your life, you have to take a look at what is essential within your heart and who you are, how you've been brought up, your value system, your beliefs, your strengths, even your weaknesses, because sometimes knowing those provides also strength. And being able to use those tools to pause and to say, I have this feeling and it seems rational at times and irrational at times, but it keeps popping up. What is it? Is it the idea that in the long road, you're afraid that this hard journey you've been on is going to continue, or you're going to have to return, or it's going to be greater difficulty ahead? If it is dwelling on the past and fearful of the future, it's taking away from your ability to live fully in the present moment. And my hope for you is, again, to take a look at all of those tools, to acknowledge it, to look within yourself, to advocate for yourself, and know that in doing so, you provide some control within what's occurring now to be able to be, if you feel fear, fear, but to be strong and to be hopeful and joyful in what can occur because of who you are and whose you are. This is a small tidbit here, and if anybody is watching and you have found parts of this or all of this to be a helpful talk. I hope that when you view this on Facebook Live, that you will write in the comment section a desire to receive, more resources. I would be happy to get in contact with you and to share either through email or if you're able to come to Massey, um, physical resources that we might have that talk about this specific topic or other areas that may not be my own that can be a support to you on your journey. Again, my name is Charles Riffey, and as one of the staff chaplains here, I offer you my heart, my love, and my mind to you on your journey, and may you find wholeness in your life. Thank you for watching.